And we are back with the fourth segment of the GSMC Basketball Podcast presented by the GSMC Sports Network. And in this fourth segment, I'm going to continue on with the biggest questions of each and every single one of these NCAA division teams. And no, the ranked NCAA division teams, excuse me. And we're going to go ahead and continue on. We left off at 11 in the last segment with the Auburn Tigers. So now we're going to go to the Texas A&M Aggies, one of the more popular colleges, one of the more popular college teams, both in football and in basketball. It's surprising like how crazy athletic these Alabama programs and like these Texas programs are in both basketball and in football. It's very crazy. It's awesome. And they were previously ranked number 12 in the NCAA. And now the biggest question is, can the Aggies find their groove early on to start the season? The Aggies, they follow a very similar script the last few seasons, where they started out 6-5 with losses to Warford, Murray State, before winning 19 of their next 22 games going into to finish off the season. So it's really, the big question is, can they start out strong and can they stay strong going throughout the season? Last season they were 7-4 and 15-13 before winning 5 in a row and making a run to the SEC semifinal and earning a bid. And early season games against Ohio State, Oregon, Creighton, San Diego State, Wake Forest, Texas Tech, and Purdue won't make the hot start easy, because a lot of these teams are going to be very good. Like, it's not a very easy schedule that they have to start out with. But we'll see. That's their biggest question. And next team on this list was ranked 13, Tennessee Volunteers. And the big question for Tennessee is, can Tennessee maintain its offensive uptick since they let go? Well, not really since they let go, but since Dalton Knecht has been drafted. And the Volunteers, best team of the Rick Barnes era, was also its best offensive team since 2019. And much of that could be attributed to Dalton Knecht and just how good of an offensive player he was. The SEC Player of the Year, who is now on the Los Angeles Lakers, he was phenomenal in that year. He was just fantastic. But Barnes had the Volunteers playing a little bit faster and shooting a lot more threes than you normally would in college. And two things that should carry over to this season. So they should be, but again, when you're a team that plays super fast and you're a team that relies heavy on three-pointers, it could be very good for you, yes, but it could also be very detrimental to you, because if you start missing your threes, it's game over for you. And if you have a bad game, especially in these tournament games when it's single game elimination, it's game over for you. You have to be consistent every single night, day in and day out. And transfers like Chaz Lanier from North Florida and Darliston Dubar will be tasked with producing offense early and often for the Volunteers this season. And for number 14, the Arkansas Razorbacks, they were ranked number 14th in the NCAA last season. And the biggest question for them is DJ Wagner going to take the next step forward? So Wagner is, he probably caught a lot of criticism in his freshman season. He was the number 1 ranked freshman in the country, but he still averaged 9.9 points, 3 assists, and started 28 games for a team that was a 3 seed in the NCAA tournament. He wasn't the number 1 freshman. He's not the number 1 freshman in the country, but he's a pretty solid player. And that said, he'll need to be a little bit more consistent, more efficient, and better at shooting, because Bogey Fland is essentially the only backup point guard for the Razorbacks. So DJ Wagner, coming in from Kentucky, he needs to be able to produce at that point guard spot very, very efficiently. And if he doesn't, then it's over. It's not looking good for them. And next team on this list is the Creighton Blue Jays. They were ranked 15th in the NCAA. And the biggest question for them is, how does Greg McDermott replace 36 plus points per game? And Why do I say this? Well, Baylor Shearman and Trey Alexander, the two leading scorers last season, they lost them. They went out the door. And in their places are transfers Pop Isaac from Texas Tech and Jemiah Neal from Arizona State. Isaacs was a third-team All-Big 12 pick, while Neal brings size to the wing. But they'll both have to shoot the three ball better than they did a year ago. And, losing like 36 points of production, it's not ideal if you are if you're a team like that. And the next team is Purdue, the Purdue Boilermakers. They were ranked 16th. And obviously, the big question for them is, what does a post-Zach Edey Purdue team look like? For the coach, for the program, what does it look like? Because Zach Edey has been part of the program for a while. He's been part of Purdue for a while. And now it's just going to be very odd that they don't have that 7'4" center in their roster. Matt Painter was to figure out a way to keep Purdue's success going without the back-to-back Wooden Award winner, Zach Edey. But he has earned a 5th seed or better in 8 straight NCAA tournaments. So there's some optimism. And much of the paint responsibilities is going to go to Trey Kaufman-Renn and Caleb First, as well as a freshman named Daniel Jacobson, who a lot of people consider rather intriguing. And next team on this list is number 17, Marquette, the Golden Eagles. They were ranked 17th last season, and the biggest question for them is what is going to happen at the point guard position. Tyler Kolek is one of the NBA and backup point guard since Sean Jones is still recovering from an ACL. He's still recovering from a torn ACL injury and that he suffered last January. I have no idea what was wrong with my English there. I apologize for that. It was so bad. But aside from that, Tyler Kolek is off to the NBA, and the backup point guard, Sean Jones, is recovering from an ACL injury. And Shaka Smart, that's actually a fire name, could opt to move Cam Jones to the point guard spot, and he's a big-time scorer and a shooter, but he has shown playmaking ability. Stevie Mitchell could also handle the ball more often, and this is just going to be a little bit of an adjustment because obviously when you lose an All-American talent like Tyler Kolek, your team is probably going to suffer a little bit, so it's not that big of a deal. And number 18, I'm going to stop at 20, and then we'll do the last 5 tomorrow in the final segment. We'll do that. So the Indiana Hoosiers were previously ranked 18th going in the NCAA, and the big question that they have is, will the pieces that they have fit on the offensive side of the ball? So last season, Indiana was never really able to put a decent roster that meshed together with the pieces that they had. They had a bad shooting team. They turned the ball over a lot more than they really should have, and they couldn't really string together nice, good quality performances. But Mike Woodson went out and landed Miles Rice, Kanan Carlisle, Omar Ballo, among several other players. And the question still remains is if Ballo and Malik Renew can play together and mesh together on the lineup. Another question is, where does Mackenzie Mbako fit in the rotation? And can anyone in the starting lineup make consistent enough threes? There's plenty of talent, but can they play together? That's really the big question. And the next team, and probably the final team on this list, is the Cincinnati Bearcats. And they were ranked 19th. And the biggest question is Jizzle James' late season surge a sign of things to come? So he's a 6'1" point guard. He started just 2 games last season where he was able to total 46 points and 6 assists. Those were the Bearcats' final 2 games in that season. Day Thomas, who started the other 35 games at the point guard spot, is also going to return. But if Cincinnati is going to finally break through and get to the NCAA tournament, then the James's dynamism might be a key part in this play. So that's all the rankings for through 20. And I'm going to, in a different segment, like probably tomorrow, I'm going to continue do it with that list, and I'm going to finish it with, 20, 21, 22, 23, and 24, because I'm not going to do 25 because I already covered the Rutgers Scarlet Knights in the previous segment that I just did in yesterday when I did the college rankings, because they're a local team. Like, they play in New Jersey. I'm from New Jersey, so I wanted to do that team first because I kind of had to. And if you're interested in what I had to say about that, you can click on that video as well. But we're going to go ahead and go into the fifth and final segment, where we talk about Trae Young and his top 5 NBA shooters, and more particularly him including Klay Thompson on that list of top 5 NBA shooters. So I'll be right back after this short break, so be sure to stay tuned.